If you're afraid to increase your price or reach out to coaching clients, you are sabotaging your coaching business. After helping over 500 clients stop self-sabotaging, I've seen exactly where most people block themselves from actually achieving their goals. So in this video, I'm going to show you the real reason you self-sabotage and how to rewire your brain to fix it so you can break the cycle and actually hit your goals. First, I have to show you the number one problem that causes so many coaches to self-sabotage and stops them from growing their coaching business. In fact, one of my own clients, Bazzi, used to struggle with this so much that he almost shut his coaching business down. Now, Bazzi was a good life coach. He'd invested in courses, he'd learned all the strategies, and genuinely cared about helping people. But for some reason, he just couldn't break through and consistently sign high-ticket coaching clients. He'd watch other coaches sign clients, raise their prices, and grow their coaching business while he stayed stuck in the same place month after month. And if you can relate to this, you know how frustrating this can feel. So what stopped Bazzi day after day from actually growing his business? Well, every time he'd sit down to reach out to a potential client or make some video content, something strange would happen. He'd hesitate, he'd start overthinking everything, he'd avoid reaching out to potential clients. Now, on the outside, it looked like he was just procrastinating, but deep down, something else was actually blocking him. And when he hired me, he said, "Sean, I know what I need to do, I just don't know why I can't do it." This is something I see every single day with great coaches. Because for Bazzi, it wasn't just about making money for him. He wanted to have a real impact on the world. And the more he stayed stuck, the more frustrated that he got. He even started believing that maybe he just wasn't cut out for this. Maybe he just wasn't as good as those other coaches. And if you've ever felt like you're holding back, hesitating to send that message, or quietly hoping that one of your ideal clients will just find you, you will know how painful that feels. So what was really going on with Bazzi, and why couldn't he just execute and take action? Well, I asked him on a call. I said, "Bazzi, what are you actually afraid of happening?" He told me, "Sean, every time I think about putting myself out there, my mind just fills with what ifs. What if they say no? What if they think I'm not good enough? What if I sound desperate or pushy?" Then it became clear. The real reason Bazzi and hundreds of other coaches hold themselves back is because they're truly terrified of being rejected. So let me explain exactly why this causes you to freeze up and not take action, because you need to understand this in order to fix the issue. And after that, I'll walk you through a step-by-step process that I have used to help over 500 people fix this so you can implement it today. So there's a system built into our neurobiology that causes everyone at one point or another to sabotage their own success. Even the most successful and wealthiest people on the planet have a tendency to get in their own way. And this is because the roots of self-sabotage are actually part of an ancestral adaptation that thankfully has allowed us to progress and develop as a species. So in order to understand self-sabotage a little better, you need to understand the two core principles that drive our survival. So let's start with the first core principle, attaining rewards. In simple terms, when we attain a specific reward, our brain rewards us with that chemical that we all love called dopamine. That little boost of dopamine makes us want to repeat that particular behavior over and over again. Because our brains are simply wired to seek out rewards as often as possible. Because for our ancestors, the more rewards they got, the better their chance of survival was. But that's only half the story. Because whilst our brains are built to chase rewards, they're also hardwired to avoid threats. And that's where the self-sabotage really kicks in. You see, learning to avoid threats isn't just for animals dodging predators so they don't get killed. It's hardwired into us humans too. But animals only have to worry about physical survival. Us humans, we have to protect our psychological well-being. That just means our thoughts, our emotions, and our peace of mind. But psychological threats are things like criticism, failure, rejection, or even just uncertainty. Now, they won't kill us, but our brains treat them almost the same as physical danger. That's why when you face a tough situation like a difficult conversation or reaching out to a stranger or even just posting content online, we're actually hardwired to respond in a number of ways, some of which can keep us stuck. So you might have heard of the fight or flight response. Fight is when we think we have the skills to defeat the threat. Flight is our default reaction when we don't think we can defeat the threat. However, there is a third response, which is freeze. And this is the response that tends to happen when you're simply too overwhelmed to choose either fight or flight. Freezing is sneaky. It can show up in procrastination or waiting for the right moments, but really, it's just your brain numbing you to avoid pain. That's also why people stay in jobs that they hate and they avoid ending relationships that they aren't happy in. They're simply freezing, doing nothing to avoid the discomfort of change. Here's the danger. The more you freeze, the more you train your brain to avoid action. And eventually, the fear of what might happen keeps you stuck and you stop reaching out for new opportunities that could help you become unstuck. So if we're to put all of this into a simple sentence, self-sabotage occurs when our drive to avoid a threat is significantly higher than our desire to attain a reward. That's it. So now you know exactly why you might be getting in your own way. Let me share with you exactly what you need to do in order to fix this. So every Sunday evening, you need to set aside 30 minutes to reflect on your week. You're not just reflecting on what you did, you're reflecting on how you handled stress. You need to look back and document the moments that pushed your buttons. These are your threats that we spoke about earlier. These will be anything that triggered anxiety, frustration, overwhelm, or anything like that. So you need to ask yourself a handful of questions. How did I respond? Did I fight, flight, or freeze? Did I try to escape by chasing rewards or endless scrolling or looking for distractions? What thoughts ran through my mind after those moments? And what actions or inaction followed? You need to write this all down. Here's the most important part that you need to follow or this will not work. Once you've done this, don't judge. You simply just need to observe, because over time, you'll start seeing the same patterns popping up again and again. And if you've spent years or decades self-sabotaging, this isn't going to just flip overnight. But every week that you reflect, you're rewiring your brain to fix it so that you can finally stop getting in your own way. But if you want to shortcut the whole process to grow your coaching business to multi-six figures, then click this video here so I can show you exactly how we help Bazzi end self-sabotage and start signing high-ticket coaching clients easily.